sana.
Asante sana.
Now, first, of course, congratulations on putting together and pulling off such a good event. Not a single complaint. Indeed, the pictures we saw were amazing. World-class facilities, world-class performance by the athletes, and indeed a world-class experience in Kenya. This has indeed put Kenya on the world tourism map. What benefit do you think this has had to the economy as a whole?
There are multiple benefits. First, Kenya was put, Kenya's profile is now global in terms of hospitality.
Yes.
Yes, we know that tourism is a big boost, but when you actually cater for such a big number, catering becomes one of now the top things that will keep the profile of this country up. Secondly, Kenyans were able to view sports at a close range instead of just watching on TV.
Yes.
A World Cup in Nairobi. That, I would say, Kenya just now has a foundation for future sports. We have the ability, the capacity to cater for bigger sports. If this was big, but I'm sure other World Cup events can also be hosted here easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, and the thousands of young people who came to Kenya, potentially to grow and become big spenders, especially in athletics. We know some of them become really, really rich and big spenders because of the money they make from their sports later on. These people will want to enjoy the Kenyan experience once again.
I believe so, because if you do an event, if you participate in an event at an early age, you'd like that to become part of a talking point in the future. So I believe they are going to come back with their families. Yeah.
Well, again, and sad to say, the event was put together at a point when Nairobi was tackling the cholera menace. What did you do differently? Because we've seen other establishments, other organizations put together events at around the same time, and very different results, complaints, people even losing their lives, sadly. But the attention to detail and quality that has to be put together to enable people pull off such events without any hitch must be immense.
One, remember we are talking about 131 countries which were represented. When you think about the food safety of such people, you have no choice but to put internationally recognized systems and processes that will ensure that food is safe, that safety is maintained. So months before, we prepared ourselves. And for us, it was not a big thing because we are already on HACCP practices. We are fully established as a HACCP compliant properties that we have. And so when it came to doing this, it was just plugging in. Again, we have hygiene partners who we work with. We ensured that they were partnering with us during this event. That was important because where we would have gaps, our partners would seal in. And our staff have been trained to ensure that food safety is key, food quality is key, and to cater for big numbers without fear. So we were prepared. And we are happy that there were no incidents. We didn't expect them. It's only that the fear around that time was a lot. It only elevated our zeal to make sure that our food is wholesome.
For organizations such as Sarova and with all your properties, the high season began early because that was a huge event, and I'm sure you had to suck in staff from right across the country to help with that catering effort. We are now in August, literally, tourist high season. What is it looking like so far?
In terms of rooms, it's not very high. You're talking of 60% at most, especially in our case, 60, 70%. But when you do such a catering, obviously there are those benefits of attracting a lot of people who came to participate. So we saw a surge in business. Moving forward, we are very optimistic that business is going to be there. Everybody is afraid of what will happen during elections, what will be there after elections. But we've seen this come and go. And we believe this year is just going to be one of the big events. Of course, we are sensitive, but we don't see a downsurge in business. We are optimistic that it's going to keep rising.
Even with the election coming up, we've seen in other countries across Africa, indeed right across the world, after the headache of the elections, both sides, the winners, the losers, although there shouldn't be any losers really, because it's not a winner-takes-it-all thing.
Yes.
They come to Kenya to literally relax and recuperate.
Yes.
Do you think we should be sending these people to some of the Sarova facilities out there?
We invite them to come.
Yes.
In fact, their meetings are held in our properties. They dine in our properties. We are ready for them. We expect them to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's look into the future. The fact that so far Kenya has put in place lots of infrastructure.
Yes.
We just saw the SGR and it's passing Envoy.
Yes.
Just a 20-25 minutes drive from the Sarova Salt Lake and the sister facility. What do you think will be the benefits that start to accrue from infrastructure investments like this for facilities such as yours?
The first one is speed,
Yes.
speed of doing business. When you are expecting your cargo to come, be it in the industry, in the hospitality,
Yes.
and then it takes months to arrive because of transport means, it's a challenge. But now, with the SGR, you expect speed of doing business to change.
Yes.
And indeed, it has changed. We also expect people who feared traveling maybe because of cost.
Yes.
If you have a big family and you are coming from Mombasa to Nairobi, you can't travel by air. This time, 4 hours, you're in Nairobi using SGR.
Yes.
So there will be a lot of people who will drive into the hotels in Nairobi.
Yes.
And we've seen it take place.
Have you been
They're also
able to...
going downwards towards
Yes.
Mombasa.
Yes.
We've seen people, huge numbers going to Mombasa. And
Yes.
there's a difference that is making. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you've been able to make any arrangements, because to bridge the gaps, Voi to Salt Lake and such like,
Yes.
I'm sure there are packages that you have been working on to be able to bring this value to Kenyans.
We did packages way before the completion of the rail, so we just plugged in.
Yes.
We have a rail package to Mombasa
Yes.
and vice versa. So we're taking advantage, and
Yes.
it's been doing well. What we need is to now take it to the marketplace,
Yes.
because we were just testing, and it's working. Yeah.
Well, indeed, that is very good to know. And indeed, to thank you very much for your time, Mr. David Gashuru, General Manager at the Sarova Pan-Afric, the company, of course, that was behind the effort to bring the Under-18 World Athletic Championships to Nairobi. Asante sana for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, indeed, on that competitive note is what we want to bring it to a close here today. But before we go, just to, well, bring you up to speed on one final story where beer manufacturing company East Africa Breweries Limited, which has posted a 6% jump in the firm's profits, despite weathering a dry season coupled with an increase in excise duty. The company posted an 8.5 billion shilling profit after tax for the period ending June 2017. The strong performance was anchored on an increase in uptake of premium spirits. Among the top-performing brands were Kenya Cane and Johnny Walker, which registered a combined growth to sales of about 14%. Beer sales remained flat for the period under review, with net sales shooting up by just about 2%. The company has declared an interim dividend of about 7 shillings and 50 cents for shareholders. Well, we now want to bring it to a close, but before you go, just to quickly sample the conversation on Twitter and look at that conversation out there that we had put out. And just to be able to bring you up to speed on that conversation, sampling to what is driving the economic resilience in Kenya ahead of the election. Well, Lori are saying that this, of course, is just a speculation. There is nothing much that is really behind this substance. Well, Nelson Jude says things like the reopening of pen paper is not resilience. It's purely political, and fortunately, this is just the politicians playing to the gallery. Well, we are at a point where we have to bring it to a close here on KTN Business Today. It has been a pleasure hosting you here today and all of this week. We meet again next week.